Namaste. My name is Preeti Upala, and I am a global thought leader and a multimedia personality. Welcome to my podcast, The Preeti Experience. Join me as I explore some of the most fascinating and crucial issues that affect our world today. I take a unique global perspective on these issues, and the very foundation of my insights is humanity and spirituality. I'm Preeti Upala, and welcome to the Preeti Experience.
Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX. I'm Rishabh Gulati. In the midst of darkness, light persists. In the midst of untruth, truth persists. That was M.K. Gandhi's Satyagraha. We live in a modern reality where we better understand how the force of lie, propaganda, misinformation, disinformation can actually capture the minds and imaginations of people and create an alternative reality far from Satya. We are living this as we speak, and the examples of it are popping up everywhere that we look around. Something unfathomably bizarre is taking place in the state of Alabama in the United States, and it merits a conversation of understanding for the rest of us. Here's what's taking place. Somebody in Alabama, including the state legislators and other important people, have been brainwashed enough to decide that Hinduism is a threat. They have converted Hinduism into a threat by yoga and doing namaste. Now, can you imagine in this US state of Alabama, doing namaste like this is officially banned. Doing yoga is banned. And an attempt to actually overturn all of this has led to a voted tie, which means that there are enough people there who are convinced that doing namaste is some sort of Hindu satanic symbol that is going to completely take over American culture. Doing yoga is a threat to the global order. Now, many of you watching this broadcast will find that bizarre, exactly as I do. But the reason we have to take this very seriously, because imagine the success the people who are painting India as a Islamophobic country, as a fascist country, how much success they're actually achieving, that one by one they're trying to get this holding hands in namaste banned. And this is a progressive American democracy that does preach to the rest of us that we are what? We are partly free countries. We are like Ecuador. We are like Myanmar. This is happening in the US of A. Let me open up this conversation because it merits action, not bemusement and frustration, but action, because somebody on the other side is clearly acting very, very nefariously and viciously against the people of this country, and a simple namaste. So let me open up this conversation. Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee joining us. Preeti Upala, she's the editor of The Observer based out of California. Sumit Peer is on the broadcast with us, and Professor Madhav Nalapat. To all of you, I would like to say namaste and welcome to the telecast. My wife does a bit of yoga. I can pretend to do some, but I can't explain that I know all the asanas. But I've never felt the asanas are a threat to American society and culture. Let me kick this off with Preeti. Preeti, can you just help our viewers here understand what the heck just happened?
Namaste, Mr. Gulati, and namaste to your wonderful audience. If you have noticed, I always start all of my news interviews with the big namaste, because that's it's a symbolism, it's an extension of Indian culture of India. I try to bring a little bit of India every time I speak to someone. This is really, really shocking news that's coming out of Alabama. I can't believe that this is how they, sort of view something like yoga of all things. It's the least threatening thing. I sort of understand what's going on behind the scenes. They want to sort of bifurcate, I guess, yoga from its Hindu origins, from Sanatan Dharma, right, which is essentially Hinduism. And they think that they can just take bits and pieces. It's like a meal piece for them. Spirituality is really a meal piece. Take bits and pieces that work for them and remove all the other elements so that, God forbid, anybody gets curious about the actual origin of where all of this comes from.
Which is thousands of years old. Okay, so Preeti, obviously this is not happening in a vacuum, right? It's not like the legislators just woke up one fine morning and said, oh my God, yoga is going to ruin American culture. Somebody is obviously lobbying them and then trying to brainwash these people that, oh my God, these are insidious practices. They are meant to brainwash people and ruin cultures. So what is going on? Who are these people who are sitting and convincing or brainwashing the good legislators in Alabama?
Yes, I like to think that they are sane and moral people, obviously, that have been elected into Congress to represent the great state of Alabama. But lobbies are very powerful in America, and I think this time we're not seeing the geopolitical lobbies as we normally do. These really are the sort of ultra conservative, whether it's Christian groups and so on, who really fear the popularity of yoga, that it's going to take away people who come to their services, that it's going to take them away to the yoga mat and the yoga studios, and then suddenly they're going to realize that there are other ways of looking at the divine and your connection to the universe. And Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, there are some of these other dharmic faiths which are becoming extremely attractive all around the world because of just, it's not a religion.
No, I think it's deeply disturbing because there is a constitutional separation of state and religion in America, but the US president does go to church, go to breakfast with religious leaders. I think this is the first time that I've actually heard that Namaste is a threat. Professor Nalapat, what is the larger lesson in this one anecdotal example that should be troubling all of us?
Well, one of the problems is the fact that there has been a tremendous amount of rhetoric against the Hindu community, mainly because this is meant to target India, the Indian government, specifically the Prime Minister, who's accused of being quote-unquote a Hindu fanatic, a Hindu supremacist, you name it, all kinds of things. The reality is that, this is part of the propaganda. It's propaganda that's spread by Pakistan. It's propaganda that's spread by China. And regrettably, I'm sorry, this has been going on actually even independent of Pakistan and China for a very long time. The reality is that the legislators of Alabama, poor chaps, are facing a losing battle. There are Republicans in the US now who are desperately engaged, and unfortunately Trump went with them substantially to ensure that the United States remains a majority white country. Well, it doesn't make a difference whether you're white, black, brown, or whatever. It doesn't make a difference at all. But the United States is becoming more multi-ethnic by the day, and is doing better as a consequence of that. Yoga, they're against yoga, they're against a vegetarian diet. They say that there's something pagan about a vegetarian diet, when environmentalists across the world are pointing out that the meat is one of the leading causes of global warming. So I only want to say, Rishabh, this is part of that disinformation campaign. But I think the good people of Alabama are going to see through it. Preeti will bear me out when I say yoga is spreading faster in the US than it ever has in India. It's spreading like wildfire. Vegetarianism is spreading faster in the US when it is shrinking in India, as a matter of fact. I don't think it's spreading in India. It's actually shrinking in India. And I mean, when we're talking of Sanatan Dharma, what is Sanatan Dharma? It means that every faith has equal validity. Every faith has an equal right to claim access to the almighty and eternal force. Now, I mean, this is something, frankly, which religious fanatics and bigots do not like. And may I remind you, this is the same tradition of the kind of people who hundreds of years ago forced Galileo Galilei to recant and to say, no, actually the sun revolves around the earth. The stars revolve around the earth. The earth does not revolve around the sun. After he wrote De Revolutionibus Orbium Celestium, proving the opposite. So I only want to say, Rishabh, I think it's a losing battle. Maybe temporarily they may enforce this ban. It's going to lead to so much of ridicule.
No, I think it's a losing battle, but I think Professor Nalapat, it should be deeply concerning because, you know, it's not frivolous. It's news that this was already banned. This was in fact a vote to overturn the ban that failed. So it's actually already banned, and even the vote to overturn it says that you still can't do namaste. So folding your hands is, as you mentioned, a pagan, satanic, barbarian practice. Ambassador Baswati Mukherjee, we already had one European country, namely Nazi Germany, who co-opted the swastika and turned it into a sign of fascist evil. And that's what it will always be infamous for, something that's thousands of years old, through misinformation, disinformation of what it actually stands for. Now you have a group of people who are trying to do misinformation, disinformation on namaste, on yoga. Something dodgy is going on, ma'am. What do we do? Do we just watch in frustration?
Thank you, Rishabh. There are two issues here. Let me first deal with yoga. World Yoga Day is celebrated in the United Nations. It was an initiative of our Prime Minister. It was co-sponsored by 188 countries, and one of its most enthusiastic co-sponsors was the United States of America. As far as yoga is concerned, as one of my co-panelists has just pointed out, it is so popular that it is in fact threatening to have greater numbers outside India than within India. And there are several forms of yoga that are practiced, which my own yoga teacher in Delhi, who's very conservative, does not approve of. He teaches me the conservative yoga, which we learn, some of us learn here. But it is a fact that when yoga spreads in this manner and in multiple forms, it becomes universal. It is no longer attached to India, number one. Number two, it was never attached to Hinduism. It is part of culture and civilization. And that is the problem of what we call Western positivism, which still exists in some parts of the United States and the West, when they think that Indian religion, that is Hinduism, is part of Indian culture and civilization. In other words, there is no separation of culture and civilization from religion.
Okay, so are Hindus, for people who don't know this, there has never been a crusade or a jihad or, people from this country going all over the world to convert people to Hinduism. It's just never happened in 5,000 years.
There is no conversion. But when we were invaded in the 10th century by waves of people from Central Asia who brought their own religion with them, and Hindus got converted, many by the sword. Then in the 19th century, when the reform movement started, we got a form of conversion of Hindus who have been converted against their will back to Hinduism through the Arya Samaj, because till then we did not even have a conversion tool for reconverting Hindus back to Hinduism. So that is how you had some limited form of conversion to help those who had been converted out of their religion against their faith.
Something bizarre is
taking place. As far as Namaste is concerned,
yes,
Namaste has been adopted in the COVID pandemic era as the most civilized form of greeting to observe social distancing and not spread infection. This Namaste was adopted by the British monarchy, of whom I am not an admirer, Professor Nalapat is. And they said, the British royal family said that they are going to adopt Namaste because it takes away the danger attached to a handshake.
Over handshake.
As far as Alabama is concerned, It's home to the civil rights movement. It has a black population.
Okay.
The blacks feel deeply alienated. Maybe the conservative white right, who are notorious in the United States for their evangelical groups, for the suppression of women's rights.
They are welcome to run their state and country as they feel fit. What I'm troubled is
that the blacks will leave Christianity and move to maybe another religion which offers
but it doesn't work like that, right? I mean,
spiritual solace. Who knows?
My question is that if we sit on the sidelines and watch this as some sort of bemused anecdote, we'll not realize that there are people out there who are very willfully trying to convince the world that Hinduism is somehow equivalent into fanaticism, that this is actually a fascist country propagating a fascist agenda undercover, which is very troubling. Sumit Peer, very strangely, Rihanna and Greta Thunberg and all these people are not worried about the fact that doing Namaste is now banned. They've decided that that's not a concern for them, what's happening in Alabama right now. So what does that educate us on the effort that is being put in a very concerted sense just to slam the crap out of India for no reason?
Rishabh, first of all, thank you very much for having me on your show. Sir, you are absolutely right. I mean, I will be very candid with you. This is all an attack against India and Hinduism. It is nothing more than that. And there are lobbies, there are powerful people at play who do this. Now, they somehow see that yoga is a form of Hinduism, though it's right, it originates from Hinduism. But Hinduism doesn't say to anybody, you have to convert to Hinduism to do a yoga. Now, that is the problem. Now, if you want to get rid of Hinduism, let me give you a few examples and let world decide. Aryabhatta, he invented zero. All your signs and binaries is based on zero. Get rid of zero. Varahamihira, Pascal's theorem, sine tables, negative numbers, lot of comments. Get rid of all that. The first surgeon was Shustra, who performed surgery 600 BC. Now get rid of all the medical science. Now let me bring to the another name, which is that Charak is the inventor of all the medicine. The medicine comes from, again, Hindu Charak. Now get rid of all the medicines. Buddha was a Hindu, right? Now, on today, we are supplying vaccine to around 100 odd countries. HIV is routed out of the world because vaccine comes from India and it's a Hindu country. Now, if you want to get rid of Hindus, now your Julia Roberts is Hindu, your Will Smith is Hindu. Hinduism is the highest converted religion in, where the people are adapting that in Russia, third highest in Colombo. Now, if you want to get rid of Hinduism and the influence of Hinduism, you can try a lot of tactics, but at the end of the day, Rishabh, we are a 20,000-year-old.
But I'm trying to ask a larger question. I'm not feeling insecure about my civilization. It's withstood the test of time and all sorts of things, including conversion, by the sword, as Ambassador mentioned. I am concerned that we run the risk of being perpetually defamed by lobbies and groups of people who take on symbols that originate here, that mean something completely different, and then try to turn them against us. I've given you the example of swastika. It is very difficult to go to a European country and then explain to people why you're worshipping a swastika. They think that you are worshipping a Nazi symbol, like it or not. So that's one. Now, if they do the same with Namaste and with yoga, who knows where this goes? So I agree with Professor Narappa, the tide of history is probably against it, but let's not underestimate the effort that is being put. So how do we fight back, Sumit?
Rishabh, we have to be very, very vocal about it. You are doing it on prime time. That's the first step. Our diplomats, our dispensation, the civil society, all the Hindus and Sanatanis have to start talking about it. What is wrong in Namaste? I'm doing Namaste on your show. Where does it make me a bigot? Does it make me Islamophobic? What does it make me? It's a part of my 20,000-year-old culture. We have survived 20,000 years doing this Namaste and will continue for another 20,000 years. If people are trying to do it, and Rihannas and Gretas and Mia Khalifas and all of them will disappear in our time. They have nothing to do.
So in a practical, I'm just trying to reduce this. Preeti, what do we do? Because, like I said, if we just look on bemused, okay, then who knows? Then it goes to a second state. It might be a conservative state, okay, then to a third and a fourth. And people will begin believing that this folding of hands is some sort of cult ritualistic thing and not just a greeting. So what do we do? How do we organize a Namaste protest? What do we do?
Well, it's a great point. I mean, I think it takes two to tango. Sadly, I think our community, India in general, but also specifically maybe the Hindu community, we're not confrontational, we're not combative, we don't have a history of really sort of kind of being so vocal as the other organized Abrahamic religions are. So I think this is a time when we need to step up and claim our own faith and traditions and make it very clear. And we have to fight this disinformation, war, attack, assault that is going on towards India as well as specifically.
No, but I'm asking how. I mean, because there's a disconnect in how things in America work versus how they work here, right? There is a letter writing campaigns, actually faxing your congresspersons, calling them up is a major thing in America. In here, I don't think if you wrote a letter to your local MLA, it would see the light of day. So there's a different logic. Do we organize a flash protest where people perform yoga in large numbers in Alabama? What do we do to actually say that this is wrong, something wrong is happening?
Yeah, I wish we had more sort of Indians or Hindu sort of groups that could actually fight all of this, but I think it might have to come down to the Indian American citizen to actually write the letters and make it vocal, spread it, the awareness on social media, get media coverage and so on. Because I'd like to think that American people are decent people, and anyone can tell you that, the namaste is a good symbol. There's nothing sinister about it. I think people have enough brain cells to know that. And the more this story gets out, people will realize how ridiculous it is, and the great.
No, but it sticks, right? Because whether we like it or not, it sticks. I mean, in Indian culture, when you put a bindi or a tika, you do it with the middle finger. Okay. Now, if I show you the middle finger right now, you'll assume I'm doing something else. So these are problems that do stick. Let's not assume they don't happen. Several people want to come in. Just 1 second, Ambassador. Let me quickly get Professor Nalapat. Professor Nalapat, I buy your logic that all of these moves are against the tide of history, that the vast majority of people will think this is frivolous and stupid. But just because of that, should we ignore it?
Not at all, Rishabh. And I like your point about the swastika. Frankly, the swastika is being used by Wahhabi groups, by the Infowar of Sino-Pakistan lobbies and Sino-Russian lobbies, and very simply by a bunch of fanatics who are not Christian at all, but who think that they are the best Christians in the world. You remember, for example, in South Africa, you had the people who had apartheid, and they said, "Oh my God, we are the best Christians." They used to go to church every week, and they would abuse and basically treat and maltreat, very frankly, people of a different color. So these are the kind of people who are basically behind this kind of movement. And unfortunately, they are there in the US, and some states like Alabama, unfortunately, they're in a very strong position. And what has happened about the African American community, I think that point is also very correct. The reality is that many African Americans have converted to Islam because they say, what are we talking about? The same people who are discriminating against us are pretending to be followers of Jesus Christ. Frankly, I don't believe. I mean, I have studied some of the teachings of the Bible and the New Testament. It is absolutely antithetical to Christ, the way this kind of action is taking place.
Yes.
And may I say, the way, for example, slave owners in the United States used to pretend to be good Christians. Look, Rishabh, the point of the matter is that this is a culture battle. It's a culture war. And it's also, frankly, a racist war. And it's a war of exclusion. And I think they're worried about the spread of yoga in their own families, in the families of hardcore racists. You may be finding a son or a daughter who's now saying, I want to do yoga. I want to become a vegan. And they must be getting alarmed, because for them, unless you remain and limit them to a narrow canvas of thought, a narrow canvas of ideology, they're afraid that new ideas will come.
Okay.
What Mahatma Gandhi said, welcome new ideas, is complete anathema to them.
Okay, so for our viewers watching this telecast, one representative, Jerry Gray, who's trying to actually quash this ban, which has existed for several years. And even the quashing of the ban says, Namaste will still be illegal in that state. Several people want to come in. Ambassador Mukherjee first, then I'll get into Sumit. Ambassador, go ahead.
I wanted to first say that this should be tackled by the Indian diaspora in the United States, not as Hindus, because you were talking about Hindus, Preeti. It should be tackled by Indian diaspora as Indian diaspora regardless of their religion, because yoga and namaste is practiced in India regardless of one's religion. You say Christians say namaste, Muslims say namaste, Sikhs say namaste, etc. It is very important for the Indian diaspora in the United States not to get this wrong, because if you fight this as a Hindu diaspora in the United States, you will be cementing the wrong impression that it's linked to your religion. That's why I wanted to come in.
Okay.
Second, what Rishabh said is very correct. It has to be fought according to the procedures available in the Indian democracy, which is exactly through the democratic means. And finally, the issue of diaspora keeping quiet on this does not arise, because ultimately those who will be the most deeply affected will be the Indian diaspora,
who are living there,
have a tendency to lean on the Indian government and India to bail them out of these tricky situations. They have to unite and they have to fight this. They have to learn how to fight it, as other groups have so effectively done in the United States.
Absolutely
if other
right.
groups have done it, why not Indian diaspora?
You're absolutely
And
right. Bang on.
Indian diaspora.
Okay, so then,
Indian
I've got a few
diaspora,
minutes
regardless.
left. Let me focus on Sumit Peer. What do we do? Okay, I've mentioned things that can be done. I'm sure there are enough people, American celebrities who perform yoga and do namaste, who can come and speak out if the right people went and told them what the problem was. I'm pretty sure there are enough Indian celebrities who have followers in America who can come and speak out. I'm sure groups of people, once things are a bit safer, maybe in a month or two, can go and organize these namaste and yoga protests, go in front of the legislative building in Alabama and perform yoga. Break the law like Gandhi did, break the salt law, and that teaches people what stupidity they're doing. What do we do?
I think, Rishabh, I have a couple of points to make. First, point number one is we have to be wherever we are in the world. We have to be stop apologetic of being Hindus, and we have to talk of, if we are a Hindu, we talk it with pride. पूरे आदर और सम्मान के साथ बात करेंगे. Point number one. Point number two, Rishabh, time has come to organize a World Sanatan Day. Because if you're a 20,000-year civilization, we should teach the world what is good about Sanatan. What are the contributions of Sanatan to the whole world? Why World Sanatan Day is not a concept which we should start at my point at what time. And when this World Sanatan Day comes, we will tell and educate the world. Namaste started 19,000 years before the Abrahamic faiths were born. So if somebody has paranoia against Namaste, it's his state of mind. And one last thing, Rishabh, today the world is scared. World is very timid. The way the Hinduism is rising, the way they think Sanatan is the only sustainable form of life and business, because we talk of ecology, we talk of environment, we talk of medicine, we talk of humanity as such. And in Sanatan, in all our texts, Rishabh, there is not a word written Hindu. Hindu naam ka shabd istemal hi nahi kiya gaya. We have always talked about humanity and Manav. We address the humanity as such.
Yeah, it's a Greek Persian name.
We are not limited to Hindu.
So I'm out of time. I'm going to end this conversation as I often do for people watching the broadcast. In America, democracy, diverse country, cosmopolitan New York, we are told, right? The reality check is that roughly about 3% of the population is Hindu, about 4.5% of the population is Muslim. So not really as diverse and cosmopolitan as you could possibly think, right? China, for example, more than 90% of its population is Han. In India, the diversity is not decreasing, it's increasing year on year. The census this year will confirm that to us, both in religion, in terms of identity, language, culture. So if the hope of humanity has to be found, and how do we all get along, it can't be found in Europe, it can't be found in America, it can't be found in China, it can only be found in India. And these are the measures. For people watching the broadcast, just think what they did with the swastika, okay? And if they do the same thing with yoga and namaste, and there'll be people who will be trying to do it, that's a lot of damage to humanity that is taking place, and it's stupid of us not to even raise our voices. Thank you all for joining us.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.